Hello, this is John, host of the Prepared Mind channel. I want to talk to you a little bit about Wall Street, investments, funding our government, and where we're going as a nation, what kind of trouble we're in. I see the stock market looking like it's gonna crash. And I wanted to share with you in my unique, simple version, simple way to look at how our country works, how our finance system works, how the money supply affects things. So I wanted to come up with this, the old whiteboard. There it is once again. So I want to entitle this The Crash of 2017. Now, I look at, the Fed rates. The Federal Reserve sets interest rates. Then we've got Wall Street, the Dow Jones, and then we've got the bond market. Bonds being how our government funds itself. It is through the selling of bonds that have a guaranteed rate of return. And that rate of return is based on the Fed's rate. So currently, we're sitting at a rate, and it's very, very low. It pays, as you know, if you have any money in the bank, practically nothing as far as the interest rate goes. Certainly a lot less than inflation. Over on Wall Street, on the Dow Jones, we're sitting just under 20,000 on the Dow Jones. Okay, that is up. It has been shooting up since Donald Trump was elected. At the same time, the bonds are being sold off. No one's wanting to buy the bonds. Why? Because the rates are so low. There's no return on this. Seriously, if you were a bond holder or bond buyer, why would you want to sell your current bonds, an older bond, let's say it had a good rate, and then buy in at 0.25% or 0.5%? Why would you put your money in something that's going to yield in 10 years 0.5% when that doesn't keep up with the rate of inflation? It's like pissing your money away. Hence, everyone is running away from the bond market. But as they sell their bonds and they don't reinvest, they're not reinvesting. They're going over to Wall Street. That's why we're seeing Wall Street climb. Okay? So if the Federal Reserve wants to go up, right, this green arrow here, if they want to go up, the Federal Reserve is going to create a climate on Wall Street that remains the same or drives Wall Street down, the Dow Jones down. But that will take the bond market and go up with it. If they want to drive people over to the bond market, what they'll do is raise interest rates, but that will kill Wall Street because investors won't be getting as good a return as they would other places. If the Federal Reserve decides in just a couple of days to keep the rates where they're at, keep them the same, basically unchanged, the stock market will continue to rise. The Dow will continue to go up, and we'll continue to see the bonds fall. There's a serious problem. If people are not buying the bonds, how is the government going to be funded? They did this thing a few years ago where no one was buying the bonds. And basically, the Federal Reserve was sneaking around and buying the bonds. It is for this very reason that quantitative easing is happening. The money is not available. The cash supply is not available. So the Federal Reserve is pumping through quantitative easing cash into the market to keep it liquid, both on the stock market and on the bond market. I mean, literally, if the Federal Reserve gave me $100 billion and said, go put this in the bond market, it's yours. Yeah, I'd go put my money in the bond market and make 0.5%. If they gave me free money, that's what quantitative easing is. It's free money because no one appears to be paying it back. We're 20 trillion in debt. 10 trillion more than we were 8 years ago. So my conclusion is that if they increase the Fed rate, the percentage, the bond market's going to go up, and they need to do that. They need to do that. Okay? They need to raise it. They have to. Our debt is going out of control. National debt. The stock market is climbing. This all is starting to look like 1929. It's starting to look like 2008 all over again, only in much, much dire circumstances. Okay, the above only with QE in the US. Okay. Quantitative easing. Over in Europe, the ECB, the European Central Bank, which is their Federal Reserve, has just announced more European Union quantitative easing. They're having the exact same trouble. There's not enough liquidity. There's not enough cash to fund the governments through bonds. And so they're giving away free money to banks, investment institutions, everywhere they can to get people to take that money at very low interest rates. Right? It's almost like some kind of crazy car sale. We've got low rates, right? Lots of inventory. They've got lots of cash and they're giving it away at low rates, hoping these corporations will pump it into the bonds, which they do, and pump it into their stock markets. But all of this is artificial because it's not based on real money. It's not sound money. It's not created wealth. It is borrowed money, which means borrowed time. And if there is no increase in productivity, that is gross domestic product, if there is no growth in GDP, there's nothing. As soon as you cut the money supply off, right, as soon as you do this and say no more money, Wall Street collapses. The bond market takes a shit. So they have to keep pumping in the QE, the quantitative easing, and that's the liquidity in the market. That's cash in the market. They have to keep doing that. But they're not creating any real growth, any sustainable growth. It's just borrowed money, borrowed time. So as the money supply goes up, so does the inflation. We're starting to see the effects of inflation. At some point, the chickens will come home to roost. The chickens are going to come home to roost. That means the shit is going to hit the fan on Wall Street, on the bond market, and with the Federal Reserve. So they're trying to raise the rates. They want to raise the rates a little to see if there's actually any real stability in our economy. They need to raise the rates to show that. They want to make bonds appear to be a better investment. That is an investment in the country itself. Bonds are an investment in nations. And when no one's buying the bonds, it's an indicator that there's no confidence in that nation. And when no one invests in Wall Street, it's an indicator that no one has confidence in Wall Street. And if the Fed has high rates and no one borrows money, that means the people have no confidence in themselves. So the Fed creates extra money and lowers rates to get people to pump money in here and make it look like the nation is doing well. The world is doing well. The ECB does the same thing over in Europe. And none of it is working. None of it. At some point, chickens have to come home to roost. That is, you have to pay the fiddler. USA's quantitative easing is stopping the crash. What I mean by that is if it weren't for quantitative easing, if they hadn't done that, everything would have crashed in 2008 and stayed crashed. It would be worse than the Great Depression back then. As it is, they have pumped the market full of fake, phony, bullshit QE cash that has supplied Wall Street and the bond market with liquidity. That is the appearance of wealth. The appearance of wealth. That's what they've done. And it stopped the crash. But at some point, as they just pump more money into it, it starts to create a money supply issue. Okay? The Fed has low rates, that equals bonds going down and Wall Street going up. High rates is the economic stalling. As they bring in these higher rates, they have to raise the rates to try and save the bond market so that they can lower quantitative easing. And once they do that, it's going to cause the economy to stall. Economic stalling. They keep saying we have real GDP in this country. I'm not seeing it. Not from my chair. I'm not seeing the growth that they say we're supposed to be seeing. I just don't see it. They finally got Obama after $10 trillion. In 8 years, they got him up to 3% GDP. And all of these numbers they're putting out are bullshit. They're fabricated. They are made up. They are intended to inspire belief that everything is just fine and get people to spend money, businesses, corporations to invest money and create more products and sell them. But as you can tell, it's just not working. Now, when we talk precious metals, that is real, and I call it condensed, condensed wealth, gold and silver, platinum. Those are precious metals, and there's a lot of value in them, and it doesn't disappear. It can't be inflated away when you hold gold or silver in your hand. Now, derivatives or paper gold and paper silver, those are derivatives. That is, they've got 1 ton in the vault, and they're selling paper stocks or paper shares for 20 or 100 or 1,000 tons. That's the same thing that the Fed does with cash, and they do it with gold. So if you're going to own gold and silver, it better be something you can put in your hand and put in your vault. So silver, despite all of the manipulation of the precious metals markets, the commodities market, they have been suppressing and suppressing and suppressing it. Every time it starts to go up, they suppress it. Someone sells off a bunch of shares of that fake paper, driving the commodities market down. But the real silver market and the real gold market, that is where you and I can go buy, that is based off of their speculative value. But when shit hits the fan, when the economy takes a crap, everybody is going to run to it. But leave that where it is and just look at what silver did this year in 2016 alone. It's up 12%. 12% on precious metals. And that's just a snapshot in time. That's 1 year. Up 12%, even though it's been suppressed. Silver is still an amazing value to buy. Same with gold. I bought gold and silver. And you can't do this unless you've got extra wealth, extra disposable income. But would you rather play this game? This is gambling. It used to be Main Street. Interest rates on Main Street. People would keep their money in their local bank, which went into the local economy, which helped local people. Now, with the rates low, you get zero return at your local bank, but you try to go to Wall Street and make 10, 20%. That's what you try and get with Wall Street. Or you went to the bond market. You know, it used to be that you would buy savings bonds. Now, during times of war, there were war bonds. This is all old stuff. But regular people used to buy bonds when you could get 10% from the government for loaning them your own personal money. No one does that anymore. The only people who buy bonds are other corporations, major corporations, countries. But they usually get their money to go play that game. They get a nice low rate, the borrowing rate. This is the old system, and everyone, we're all seeing how it's failing. You come down here to silver and gold, buy that. That's your investment. It's real. You hold it in your hand, and it's going up at a handsome rate, even though it has been suppressed several times this year. But I wanted to do this video to kind of show how I look at how the economy works, how the Federal Reserve works, how our government works, how they play the game, and how that affects us on the street. We're just regular people. We want to invest our money and have a rate of return. We want to go to work and make money and have a retirement. You send your retirement to Wall Street, they can dissolve. It's fake. You keep it in the bank. Ask the people of Cyprus, Greece, Italy, France looks like it's about to tumble. Ask them what they think of it. The central banks, the European Central Bank and the Federal Reserve, are failing. They've got this giant machine that they don't understand how it works, and they've got dials and knobs, and they try and tune it, and they're always chasing it, and they're stoking the fire with quantitative easing, saying we just got to keep the fire hot, and we'll get all these dials tuned in, and everything will be fine. But if we're not producing as a nation, agriculturally, mining, technology, manufacturing goods and exporting them, right? Trading them for other things others make. If we are not doing those things, we're not creating growth as a nation. And we go down. We've turned from an industrial economy to a service economy. Value added on service is less than. If you take $1 and you add some value to it through your service, and that dollar is now worth $1.25, whatever the widget is, but your tax rate is high. Your cost of doing business is high. Insurance is high, medical's high. All of these things take that value right back out. So in order to make that $1, it's costing you $1.30. You want it to be $1.25, right? You make your $1.25, you're happy, but it's costing you $1.30, $1.40, $1.50. So you go into debt. That is what our nation is doing. It is borrowing money from the Fed to try and boost the economy, but we cannot, as a service economy, put enough value into a dollar to make it worth enough, to make it worth more than it costs. That is the problem in a nutshell. It costs more to make a dollar than what we're getting out of a dollar's service. We need industry here. We need to lower taxes. We need to get rid of the Federal Reserve. We need to get rid of these free trade agreements which hurt the United States of America. Because corporations here, all they care about is money. They don't care about people. They send their businesses offshore. They use cheap labor and cheap raw materials offshore. They do their manufacturing there, make a handsome profit, turn around and resell it here to corporations that make a handsome profit, and the people get shit out of it. And guess what? We are being handed the bill, because every dollar that the Fed loans in quantitative easing goes on the balance books over under the people will pay this. We are accounts payable. And the scales have been tipped against us. We're in deep, deep, deep shit. So anyways, a little fun economics on the crash I see that's coming. I've never assigned a year to when the market's going to come down. I see it happening right now. It's already started. And it just has to get to critical mass, in my opinion. Critical mass before we see the pain on the street. I see shit hitting the fan at some point. Now, they've managed with quantitative easing to keep everything floating, to keep it going. And prior to 2008, other games were played. That's when they had the interest rates high, and they started ratcheting them down to get people to invest more in Wall Street and in housing, everything that could benefit, buying automobiles, except those automobiles are mostly being manufactured offshore. There's no tax benefit for the nation that way. Sales taxes for the state, but no taxes for the nation. The federal treasury is not benefiting by sales going to offshore corporations. So I've watched it fall. I've watched the interest rates come down. Then we watched the crash of 2008. Now we're seeing how quantitative easing is not working. The money supply, the market has been flooded with cash. The debt is spiraled out of control. Production, gross domestic product, is still crap. And we're wondering what's going on, where our money is, where our nation is. All I can say is you better prepare. Prepare for an emergency. I laid this out, just the simple way of looking at things. how can you take a giant machine and make it look simple? That's the best I could do for a video. Simplify it, and then realize where we're at. What can you really do? Trump can do whatever he wants trying to fix things. I hope Trump is good at what he does. I hope he can turn it around some. But putting lipstick on a pig, our economy is a fucking pig. It is going down the tubes. It is a pile of shit. And putting perfume on a pile of shit, it's just going to smell like flowery shit. It's not going to make it smell like not shit. And lipstick on a pig, it's still a pig. It's still a beast. Right? An ugly, loathsome beast, the pig is. It doesn't become a supermodel. So Trump can do what he can, but what you can do for yourself and your family is prepare. Prepare for an emergency, which it looks like we're going to face, another crash. Do you think that the people in the 1930s would have done nothing if they knew what was going to happen to them? They're partying like it's 1929, 1999 and 29. They had the roaring 20s. Why do you think they were roaring? Because there was a real economy and they threw a bunch of fucking cash at it. At that time, brand new Federal Reserve was pumping cash, playing games with interest rates, and boom, the economy shot up. Production, everything shot up, but it got out of control. The market crashed. Oh, they learned their lessons, right? But then they started something new. The version of quantitative easing that was started back then was Keynesian policy. That is, spending money today and looking for a return tomorrow. We have been on that policy ever since then, to this very day. And the newest incarnation of that is quantitative easing and manipulation of bond prices and the manipulation of interest rates. But even though they've been doing that since the 40s, it has slowly come down. The value of that system, the operability of this system is failing. It is not viable. It is not working. Yet they keep doing it again and again and again, expecting, hoping for a different result. Raising taxes, lowering taxes, raising rates, lowering rates. Nothing seems to work because the system itself is designed to fail. It is intended to fail. And when it fails, those with power and wealth buy the real assets. They buy that with value because they have taken the wealth and put it in their side. When 99% of all wealth is owned by less than 1% of people, that shows you how the system works. It takes from the poor through market manipulation and gives to the wealthy. The system is not for the people. The system is against the people. But they need the people to provide their labor. This system is now going to crash. What are you going to do about it? What I've done for myself is food, shelter, clothing, defense, self-defense, having a plan, understanding the psychology, not only of the market, not only of the people, everything, understanding the psychology, the machinations, how it works. What this has done is allowed me to see what's coming. I can't do much about it. I can't stop it, for what's happening from happening, but what I can do is protect myself. And if I have any liquid wealth left over, if I have any cash, realizing that cash is debt. Owning dollars is debt. You look at our national debt and the amount of cash that's available on the street. To own $1 is to own $100 in debt. If I take $1 and I go buy silver or gold or something of real value like ammunition, food, now I have something real, something that's mine, something that can't be taxed or stolen from me. You leave your money as cash, the banks can steal it from you. Oh yeah. And if you turn around and try turning what cash you have into an automobile or a home, and you end up with a mortgage or a loan, you are in debt. You're in debt, and they can come take your shit. So you have to decide. You have to decide what's real and what isn't, and what you're going to do about it as an individual. I want to thank you for watching the video. Hit like, give me a thumbs up. I figured out what thumbs up does. YouTube says thumbs ups means that it's a good video, it's well put together, and people like it. So give me a thumbs up on the video. All my videos. Thumbs up means that more people will be exposed to my videos because YouTube will move it up higher in their rating system and show people. So if you appreciate Prepared Mind videos, give them thumbs ups. And on this particular video, the magic word is ribbon, as in blue ribbon. So if you use the word ribbon or blue ribbon in your comments, I'll know you watched the whole video. But hit subscribe, and after you're subscribed, hit the little bell. And what that does is it turns on a setting inside YouTube that alerts you when I put a new video out. So click subscribe, click the bell, give me a thumbs up, and then hit share. Tell your friends. Seriously, go tell them, watch this video and include the link. When you hit that, it'll include the link and send them here so that they can learn. They can see what it is you're talking about. It's hard. I mean, I could not sit down in front of somebody and just do this. I had to think about, what am I going to say? And a lot of times I'll have people, say at work or in the street, go, "What do you think of this, John?" I don't have 25 minutes or half an hour with them. I just give them the quick synopsis and run off. But when you can tell somebody, "Go watch this video, you're going to like it," a lot of good information to share. Right? You can learn something. You can choose and decide. And that way you get the weight off of your shoulders. And you throw it over here, right? You throw it on this channel where I get to carry the weight and talk about prepping and talk about the economy and talk about the market and talk about the military or the government or international affairs or banking or Wall Street. That's what we got going here. And if it wasn't for you guys, the Prepared Mind channel wouldn't be shit. It would just be another dumbass sitting on a couch or sitting in his office or sitting in his truck driving around talking about nothing. But it's you guys, your comments, that have made this channel great, and I want to thank you all. So here we go. We got the Fed raising rates probably this week, followed by the Electoral College, which is full of scandal already, followed by Christmas. Then we've got New Year. Then we've got an inauguration coming up, and we've got Yahoo after craziness coming. And you need to be prepared. What are you going to do? All right, this is John, host of the Prepared Mind channel, saying, Semper Fi, Godspeed, chance favors, the prepared mind is yours.